It'll work.
You know, that'll work.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Victor Allen's New News Sports. Written, directed, produced by Victor Allen. Feel urban look at sports by the man the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. There's Vic. Yeah. There he is.
You know what? This is the part where we get to go in. Notice my lead-ins are real short. I got to do the same for hot picks.
That's because I
got them. No, but they're great. I like that lead-in. My hot picks, the only reason why it's so long is because everybody wants to see the pictures. But
exactly.
Yeah,
gives us time to TT.
That's not the reason.
Okay.
That's not the reason, man. There you go. Welcome to New to Sports, you guys. Like I said, we do what we call the quick segment of sports because I'm not going to repeat anything that you don't know. And if you do know what I'm going to talk about, so what? Get over it. Hey, look. Yesterday was a day that I asked a question about March Madness, and I asked the question in the room, would anybody watch March Madness? And for good reasons, nobody in the room could because of obligations. But it was also another day that was big, and before I get to March Madness, I want to let you guys know there's a team that is actually causing a lot of thunder and lightning, and it's not OKC. It's the Denver Nuggets. And if you have watched lately what the Denver Nuggets are doing, they're on a 14-game or 13-game winning streak. They play back-to-back nights and in OKC and beat them. I mean, handily beat them by 10 points. Now, the question became, okay, are they just, kind of an anomaly? No, they're not. They're
on a 12-game winning streak or something.
13 games. 13 games. But this is what's getting
now.
Yeah, I know. But they say timing is everything.
Right.
Now, I know everybody's going to watch the Miami Heat, but they don't have the competition in the East, and we understand that. So they're going to be going up against a team that's going to be built a different way from the West. My question to myself was this, is that here they are scoring. They have scored 50 consecutive games of outscoring every team they played by in the paint, 50 consecutive games. They're dominating. They scored 72 points in the paint yesterday against OKC. OKC looked gassed. This team is kind of came out of nowhere. I think they're where we thought the Clippers would be. When the Clippers did that 17-game win streak and they were just cutting through, well, Denver's doing it, and they're dominating down low, and you really have to think about who's the center. Where your monster underneath is Fareed. What is he, about 6'8", 6'7"? He's the monster of the Midway. They got JaVale McGee, who basically is coming onto his own. So they may not be the highlight show, but when they come down the court, they have 2 point guards that you can't tell between Miller, who's 37 years old. He doesn't look his age. He doesn't wear his age. So the question became, before I go into any more highlights here, do you believe that Denver now, when you dominate in the paint, Mar, you know this, if you predominantly score in the paint down low, isn't that the highest percentage of scoring and the best way to hit your victories versus three-point shots, long-range shots? Is that a great recipe for coming through the playoffs and making a statement?
I mean, as long as you win, as long as you win, is a statement. You know how I am about their different styles. This is why I always have this thing about different styles of play, and that it's more a matter of coaching and getting the most out of the players.
Right.
But that you can have styles of play that are so vastly different and still be successful.
Right.
They talk about that, especially even when you look at the Miami Heat, who actually technically doesn't really have a big man.
True.
So I think it's wonderful though, Vic. I tell you what, I love to watch it, and I'm gonna be catching some games now.
Well, I'll say this: the flavor is Miami. The Spurs is the process. The Clippers are Lob City, the new entertainment. The Lakers, please play up to expectations. OKC is supposed to be the newcomers, but once they lost James Harden, they haven't been able to recoup that guy who can actually bring other dimensions on the floor. Now, that's not an excuse. And everybody's kind of riding on OKC. Here's my question. I wanted to find out which teams, with limited information, do you believe are the top 3 teams in the West up until this point? Typically, it was always Spurs, OKC, and then underneath you may have had, of course, maybe the Grizzlies, the Clippers. The Lakers never broke top 4, top 5, and haven't and will not do so. Do you believe Denver is in the best position for scoring down low to take out OKC or the Spurs? Or do you believe they're just a 3 seed or 4 seed? That's the best they're going to get.
No, I think, sometimes you get these series that they kind of get lost in history because they're early on, like these first round where the people actually represent so well. You go, damn, you came out of nowhere.
Right.
I mean, and you really wonder. So, no, I think that Denver could be one of those. They could give somebody hell.
A lot of hell.
In the first round and still narrowly lose out.
Right.
As that's the example I give in the past.
Right.
But we forget about them because they're gone.
Right.
But the fact was they almost beat so and so. So there's always those that come around. So no, I think it's real, and I think that they'll represent. And again, this is where in the playoffs you see a different. There's always 1 or 2 teams.
Right.
Typically in the past, remember Indiana. Would be one of those that would sort of come and all of a sudden tighten up everything and go, oh, and then, come blazing out. But it may be Golden State or somebody. Who knows?
Well, and the part that bodes well for them is that they've been coming up. They've moved their position down from 8th position or even worse or close to it. And they've moved into the 4th position now.
They're the 4th position now?
Yeah, in the West. So It's only the Spurs, OKC, and the Grizzlies, I believe. They've already overtaken the Clippers record. So they're constantly winning. And they're 9-4 against winning teams above 500. So they have a recipe where they are 9 deep now. They're 9 deep. So when their players come in and you watch how they play, you really are looking for what makes them who they are, like Miami. And they just go, and you sit there and you're going, okay, what's the difference in this team? And what you're realizing is they come across the court and you can't prevent them from going down in the paint.
No, well, here's the thing. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so there's people we think they could certainly knock off. I don't think they would beat the Thunder in a series.
So you think?
But I think they would beat the Grizzlies.
What about the Spurs?
No.
Now, athletic teams are a problem with the Spurs.
I know. But again, in the series, this is what I was saying. This is what I'm saying. I don't think that the Nuggets have enough to win everything. They just have enough to give somebody hell.
You know what?
In the early rounds. It's almost like one of the ones you don't want to face because they're going to be really tough.
True.
Tougher than what people are going to imagine. And then if you do beat them, they're going to all say, well, you were supposed to beat them.
Right. You would look at Denver as being the team that typically would be the one
the spoiler.
Well, the first round. You would say, oh, they may not get past the first round. That's about it.
But they could and through upsetting somebody. And, for example, against the Clippers.
Oh, they ruined them. They beat them by the last game. They beat them, last week? By 20?
But that's what I'm saying. But even though, I will say this, remember, to me, the playoffs is a different.
Right. And they're only a few weeks away.
Beast.
So what they're saying is the teams after All-Star all start raising their levels up to make the push. They're making their push. And the thing that they're lauding them about is their defense. They're like a mini Miami. Not as good as Miami's defense, but they keep swarming while they're going down in the paint, so they disrupt you. And after watching what they did to OKC, I've never seen OKC this frustrated. Turnovers. They just matched up well with them. Now,
one thing I will say about OKC to me is that I've seen just sporadic play.
Right.
I really have.
Yes, I have too.
I mean, just in the games I've seen, they have lapses and everything.
Right.
And then sudden greatness and all this, but you can't ignore the lapses against a bunch of, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just saying it's interesting. It's just that the Clippers have more.
Right. And the Clippers, what everybody's waiting for the Clippers. George Karl is doing a good job in Denver. And when you look at what has happened by letting Carmelo Anthony go and those players that was causing a lot of havoc and bringing in all these, and I'm not saying they're Plan B players.
It just speaks to George Karl.
They don't have a superstar. Iguodala is really like a third or fourth man in the rotation, although he was the lead coming into the trade.
He can do that, even though And even though he's known for doing it, he does a wonderful job. It's all good, and I love to watch him. Hey, but Vic, but none of these can beat the Heat.
I'll say this: you're right. Everybody's saying clear and free.
That's what looks so bad to me. I don't see anybody looks like they're even on the. It looks like there's the Heat and another level.
Yes, everybody agrees. Everybody agrees.
Right now,
right. It's another level because they don't take advantage of the
consistency. Yeah,
the big man thing is what Denver brings. They play big down low. That's the part where they're saying this is the kind of team that you don't want to play. Because they have no fear of anybody, and they're going against. If you're going against the teams in the West, and you're getting ready to go against Miami, we went against the pathway of destruction in the West. All types of teams that are gearing up. Name a team in the East that makes you fear outside of Miami. You'll try to move Indiana. It's not going to work. Indiana, it's just they're trying to push them up so they can have some competition, but the Indiana's not going to make a game of it. You come over to the West over here. If Miami had to switch, yes, they'll probably still go to the championship, but they would have to go through Spurs, OKC, Denver, Clippers, Grizzlies. It's rough shot over here,
and it's a different level of play.
Yeah. So I'm saying this right now that I see Denver with this style of play getting to the finals in the West. I don't see them necessarily to the finals. Yes, I do.
West.
In the West.
Oh, in the West.
In the West. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's not saying a lot.
No, it's saying a lot. Oh, yeah.
The finals of the West?
Because that means the final two. That means it's going to be. Everybody's talking about OKC and Spurs, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, so one of those got to go.
Okay, so wait. So you're saying so you're saying the finals, final winner, or
no,
in the finals?
In the finals. How far are you taking them? Second round?
I don't know enough to say. I like OKC, and I have to see the Spurs more. But to me, it's OKC and the Spurs, and I don't think the Clippers, the Grizzlies are really contenders to me.
The Grizzlies are playing better. The Clippers are on a down.
But yeah, they. You know what? First of all, with the Grizzlies, it's not just their history,
right,
of underperforming.
I agree.
Once they hit because to me, I was one of the people that was like, woo, woo, woo,
right.
New kids on the block. Wow,
right.
Tank,
right?
Tank,
they did.
Tank, bad. Looked like they played their worst in the playoffs. No,
right.
No. So no. It's the Clippers that lack a true identity. That's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting.
It's what they're missing is the level where you come up with defense, and they're saying this is where Vinny will make or break his legacy. They got a team of athletes that can score offense. It's kind of like the Mike D'Antoni approach of the old days in Phoenix. Just score, 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 because that's what people pay for. They come to see you score. But can he institute the defense, that defense that works? Well, Miami is doing things with their defense that's so creative that's based on athleticism. So they actually run into they'll do a 2-2-1 zone or 2-1-2 zone because they have the athletes to press you. And what they're saying is, and Mar, you know this is true. You know how you disrupt people with speed? Put your body on them. The Grizzlies did that with Miami. Barely lost. So Miami's recipe for defeat is you can't outrun them. You can't athleticism them. It's the wrong word.
You got to hit them up kind of hard. Remember, Boston had played them well before. Interesting enough.
Just the other day.
Right. Interesting enough. Right. Oh, exactly. See, remember we talked about that slowing down, how you can slow down a team.
And you put your body on the...
You can make it so they can't run their game like that. They can't fast break.
All you got to do is harass them. But when you let Miami has freedom of his players to be out there untouched with speed, they're going all day.
I just still don't see anybody beating them. But, it's so interesting because I talked about them in a positive when it first happened.
Right.
As opposed to some other people...
Who, Miami?
Yes.
Oh, you mean when their first year?
Yeah, the fact that they were coming together. I've been speaking positive.
Oh, about them winning the championship.
No, just the whole thing of them coming together,
right,
to make this bid, coming together as Bosh,
right,
Wade, him, and I've been speaking positive about it all along.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's gone now. Finally, for the first time, has that real dynasty-looking appearance where it looks overwhelming to people, and that's a new thing that they've achieved that kind of status.
Right.
But I didn't know that they would do that. but I still felt positive, and so I have to give them props.
Yeah, and then people had big expectations. They thought they was going to come in their first year, and that wasn't going to be the case. And now they arrived, and they had higher expectations. But you know who brought that on?
The Lakers.
But let me say who brought that on. Nobody brought that on Miami but themselves, and everybody said this, and they even looked back and said,
wrong with expectations.
Oh no, what they said is this. They said, when you sit down and you give a pre-party walking down the stage, say we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I said, oh, so you guys are walking on stage first year. You're going to get judged by that on the first year.
And I think that's good and great and part of the hype, and you should do it. I think there's nothing wrong with that, and you should jump. You know, I was in favor. Joe Namath said they were going to win.
Who?
You know, that's right, from the beginning. In other words, so there's a history of people who've spoken out.
Right.
And so I think that's okay. Just walk the walk and talk the talk.
That, and I agree. And that's what everybody's expecting them to win multiple NBA championships.
Well, they didn't say that at the beginning.
Oh, no, they did. They did.
That was the debate. Those who said, no, it will never happen, and those who said it would.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's, and it was distinctly, to me, in the beginning, more naysayers than positive.
Well, because they didn't like the hype in the pre-party.
Right.
They were going after them because they were hyping themselves up. But everybody knew, they said, D-Wade and LeBron, give us the reason why they won't win championships. It was a foregone conclusion. And they actually said,
Miami's too hot and steamy.
See, that's wrong.
Too steamy.
That's wrong, man.
So yes, it's the weather. It's a weather thing.
Okay, I'm gonna get away from that. It
is a weather thing.
Yeah, okay, let's leave. First of all, you have this love fest with hating cities. You can pick a city you love, man. L.A., I know.
I love Vancouver. Vancouver was wonderful.
You like Vancouver?
I still haven't been to Seattle.
Yeah.
I like Berkeley.
Okay, well, yeah, Berkeley. Yeah.
I like Berkeley.
What about Oaktown, man? Let me leave it like that.
I didn't spend enough time there. Enough. You know what I need? See, if when cities are so much shaped by the individuals you know from there that when you're visiting.
I know.
And that's part of the thing. I didn't really have a good Oakland friend.
Yeah. Well, so
I was up in San Francisco.
There's a history with Oakland.
Yeah, I know.
I would leave that alone.
We usually hit them when they down here.
Okay, I'm not going to do it.
We don't hit them when they up, and they're not in Oakland anymore.
Okay, let's stop, dude. All right. Let me go to I'm taking you out on this one because Kentucky, the one and done class, when you're the NBA champions, NCAA champions, and then you get taken down by a team called Robert Morris University. Now, here's the part. Kentucky had to leave their own conference.
Where is that, in Virginia? Isn't it in Virginia?
Yeah.
I think I know. I think I've driven past it.
Right. Here's the small Colonial League team. You have to leave your own stadium because the NCAA tournament is going to be played in Kentucky. So you have to go on the road, ranked number 1 in the NIT. You just got a conversation about, do you deserve to be in the 64-team NCAA bidding group of 64 teams, of course. Everybody's trying, will Kentucky make it into the 64 or the field of 64? They did not. So he says, well, you know what? That means you're automatically a number 1 seed in the NIT. Now, you're out. You're one and done out of the NIT. Now, Mario, you know Kentucky fandom.
That's dogging out the NIT, by the way, which is always gets dogged out. It's perennial. See, you're giving it.
No,
it really a second-class tournament.
Yes,
still,
is it?
I'm just saying it was way back
leftovers.
then. Okay, see, I didn't say all that. Vic said it.
No.
I'm just saying it sort of seemed like that coming up. I went to school on the East Coast, and it's bigger. It's actually bigger.
It's big.
Bigger on the East and in the Midwest.
Right.
But it is nothing out here. It absolutely.
No.
Does anybody west of the Mississippi watch this stuff?
No, and in the Pac-12, I think we have 3 teams that's in the NIT. Stanford, Arizona State, and another team is in there. So Washington already lost, I think. Now, so here's my question. Now, this is about Duke has a history of going like, Coach K, don't you not let our team get in like rank between 1 and 3, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. Put us 1, 2, 3, or 4. Kentucky just won the championship last year. How disappointed are the fans in Kentucky? No, I want you to.
Oh, so they're disappointed. So they go eat some barbecue and drink some bourbon.
What do you mean?
I mean, what do you want? I'm not gonna feel sorry for you because your team lost.
Okay,
I tell you what. Shit?
Okay, so are you trying to?
Too bad.
Okay, let me ask you this: Calipari put the hurt on his young guns.
What did he gave that? He gave that speech. about how, but he actually gave one of his speeches where like everybody else was lousy, but put it on me.
Right, but
it's one of them speeches that still kind of came out.
But the recent speech is yesterday's.
I didn't see yesterday's.
Well, see, yesterday's when you throw young people under the bus because, man,
he did. He threw them under the bus, right?
Yes, he threw them under the bus.
Okay, that's what we
now,
said.
Rightfully so. If you go to Kentucky, this is what I believe. Sometimes you have to get residents under the bus or just get ready to have your green card to go under the bus. And when I say green card, I mean your cash card, nothing else. You pay to get to Kentucky to get on that team, and you don't perform, you get thrown under the bus. You are the elite group that's coming in. Not only are you that, Kentucky is still #1 ranked for the recruiting team coming in next year. So if you come off an NCAA championship, you have the newest group, you don't even make it into
elite shit comes with, obligations.
Right.
That's just the way life is. It's a lesson for you in sports.
That's right.
When you go to, and it applies to other aspects of life. When you go to a name, place, business, whatever, they're going to have something they want you to step up to.
And you are supposed to take this.
Yeah, you're supposed to, and you're going to be judged by your ability.
Thank you.
To step up.
I agree. So I feel no pain or feel sorry for any of the players because that's the way, they accepted it. They went there. They didn't deliver. Now, here's the 3 choices of the fans in Kentucky. I want to figure out how they're treating this. And I said, well, let me try to do this. I've never been to Kentucky, so I'll just pick 3 options, Mario.
I know what they're not doing. So come on.
One is the state of Kentucky has closed all happy hour bars and lounges. The state of Kentucky has returned the horses to the barns. The state of Kentucky has transferred support to Calipari's former team, Memphis. Which one is more logical that the fans right now, who are probably steaming right now, do?
They should return the horses to the barn. They're going out to drink.
That's wrong.
They're used to the Kentucky Derby. They know how to dress. One thing Kentucky has, they can get genteel and eat good. So they will get dressed up. They will drown their sorrows in some wonderful food.
Right.
Some wonderful libations. Return the horses to the barns. Forget about Calipari's former team.
Oh, there you
and
go.
Just live for another day.
And let me do this to give props where props is due. Robert Morris University, let me tell you what I think you deserve. If you take out the #1 ranked NIT team, you deserved a bid in the field of 64. Props to the 64 because you needed to be there. Robert Moore, but give me some claps, man. Robert Morris, man. You don't want to see. You notice my sports.
Robert, first of all, you got to tell me what state they're in. I think they're in Virginia, though. I think I drove past it.
Well, did you wave?
Yeah, when I went, somebody look it up.
It's probably
one of those small schools I passed by. Because I remember driving by, I was outside D.C., and I said, "Hey, that's that school that made it to the."
That's PA.
One of those little schools. They have a couple of. There's a couple of the little schools. That showed up in the NCAA. There's another one.
Lehigh.
I can't remember, but they're right out there. You go like, that's that little school.
Small.
They're small.
And Robert Morris only had 3,000 people in attendance for this game.
They're smaller than our junior colleges.
Yes, it is. Oh, Philip, he already said, bam, they're in Pittsburgh.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
So there you go. I was wrong.
My Noonan Sports is over. Got to go, man. Thank you.
Victor Allen's Noonan Sports. We don't know what the colleges are. We just know how they play ball. And who cares any damn way? Noonan Sports. That's right. Getting academic.